Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome in to the Establish the Run NBA DFS Injury Analysis Show for Wednesday, May 3rd. We are at hump day of this first week of May. Had great fun basketball games last night. One game tonight with some serious injury discussion at the very least with Philadelphia and Boston. We'll touch quickly on LA Golden State for tomorrow as well. We are not going to do a injury show tomorrow. There is a 2-game slate option on DraftKings. We'll talk a little bit more about how we're handling that behind the paywall at the end, but we'll do a quick touch on it here today since we're not going to do an injury show tomorrow. Still filling in for Drew Dinkmeyer. I am Gary Hartman, joined as always by the injury analysis king, the warm-up starters jerseys king, Mike Gallagher. How you doing?
Doing good. Yeah, feeling better. Made it through my illness, so I'm still going Mikal Bridges streak on not missing any injury shows. But yeah, feeling pretty good today. Little, not 100% yet, but should be good tomorrow. Kind of worked out for me because I was sick yesterday, so I couldn't really write. So I woke up today feeling better, and hey, Embiid news, so I didn't have to rewrite anything. It was great. But yeah, so it's exciting to see Embiid. Kind of, we'll see. We'll talk about it. There's a lot of stuff going on here.
Yeah, so let's dive right in there. I mean, Joel Embiid obviously missed game 1, has the knee sprain. A lot of talk coming into the series that he'd probably missed the first 2 games. And here he is, still doubtful on the injury report, but we get a report from Shams that he's expected to go tonight. I know he's participating in shoot-around right now. What are you thinking on Embiid? I think we're going to project him in. How are you feeling?
Yeah, so let's go over what we learned. Obviously, Shams Charania is saying that, quote, he's back. He told him he was going to play, but Embiid at shoot-around said he's going to talk to the doctors. He's expected to play. He wants to play, yada, yada, yada. Certainly, Shams Charania is about as legit as it gets. Definitely expecting him in. We're not writing this in complete pen here. Shams is awesome, but don't forget about the Draymond unlikely to be suspended story. Reporters miss stuff from time to time. Again, 90 to 95%, something like that. I'm expecting him to play. We have no idea what his minutes limit is. So let's go through the timeline here really quick.
Right.
So hurt himself on April 20th, diagnosed with LCL sprain, worse than a grade 1 sprain. Some call it a grade 2 sprain, which is usually a 4-week-ish kind of injury. This is 2 weeks now, almost to the day. It happened 2 Thursdays ago. So looking at 2 weeks there, recently on Sunday, he did, quote, 0 running at practice and then did a full workout with running yesterday. Just yesterday, he started running. So this is an aggressive return date. Also worth noting, this right knee has been a problem. He's had right knee soreness in October of 2022, April of 2022, March of 2022, November 2021, October 2021. These are all different isolated knee soreness injuries. Some of them were related to back-to-back. He had a right meniscus tear in the summer of 2021. So he's dealt with this knee thing quite a bit. So we think he could be managed. We're not going to put him at full minutes. I think we're going to put him at like 32 and then kind of feel it out. And then also his impact, right? I mean, the guy just started running yesterday. What's he going to look like? Can he play offense much? I think that the game plan is, let him soak up the paint. We saw the Celtics just eat inside, making like all their shots in the first quarter because they were getting a layup line. So I think putting Embiid in the back and just running more zone, we saw that the zone defense worked pretty good for them in the second half. So I think that makes some sense. But expecting a limited Embiid, certainly can expect him to start taking Paul Reed's place. And then on the flip side, how fast is Boston going to want to play here? They're a pretty good transition team per possession. They don't usually play very fast. They're 16th in transition frequency for possessions per game. So, a whole lot going on here. Changed the matchup quite a bit. But again, bottom line, again, expecting him to play limited on both efficiency, usage, and minutes.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense to me. And George writes a comment here, and they already stole a game. Why would they play him today? They would get more rest before game 3 and go home. It's kind of what Miami did last night with Butler, and I don't disagree. Like, especially if this is a rush timeline, I would be wary if he's out there, maybe some really short stints, perhaps being limited. And even if not, we'll see. But it sounds like he's going to go. I have a little bit of, like 90-10 maybe. I'm leaving that door open that he maybe sits and see what the doctor says. I mean, still doubtful on the injury report. We'll see if that changes on the 2:30 here. But, something to look at. You mentioned how Boston might respond on the other side. If he somehow does sit, we saw Paul Reed get major minutes, not only start, but played 37 minutes. No Montrezl Harrell at all. They went a clean 8, and even with that 8, they only had 11 Jalen McDaniels minutes, 13 Georges Niang minutes. So it was really very tight rotation. And obviously they won, so it worked. So I'd imagine if we do get the scratch and that he is out, you'd expect more of the same from the Sixers rotation.
Yeah, and should also note that it's a barring a setback. That's always a cover your bases kind of situation. And
Right.
then Tim Bontemps confirmed that report. I was looking at making sure to miss a Woj notification, so it's not a full on Sham situation. Tim Bontemps confirmed the report. So
Yep. So
I think if he is in there, Paul Reed's earned a role, so I think he's in there. I think McDaniels is important. I was kind of surprised to see him only get 11 minutes in the last game. Obviously, Melton's in there. So that's 8 right there, right? So I don't think they need to add anybody else. Maybe they add Niang. I don't think so. I think that Niang's minutes are going to be very few and far between. Maybe gets the non-Tobias minutes. That's about it. But also somewhat surprised. Melton's minutes got cut in the second half. Goes 5 of 5 from 3 in the first half. Or I think you're 4-4, 5 of 5. And then 16 minutes in the first half and only 9 in the second. That was kind of odd. But hey, whatever. Got the win.
Yeah, and obviously a massive game from Harden, probably the best of his career. I wouldn't expect the same ceiling if Embiid's in there, but certainly plenty of room for Harden to produce as well. All right,
yeah, complete opposite. Actually, just a random stat for the Sixers. They had 14 points from pick and roll handlers. That's their highest of the season. They were ranked 29th on the year at 15 and change. So they almost tripled their pick and roll handler scoring. Certainly, this is largely tied to Embiid, but just a pick and roll fest. We've seen this happen to the Celtics at times. They are vulnerable at times. We talk about this a lot for matchups with Trey doing it a couple times. We've seen Donovan, a couple other pick and roll heavy guards light them up because they're switch scheme. They don't double as much. And if you could get going, and he did, it was great. And, killed them on drives. It's just a peak Houston Harden performance.
Yep. Yeah, totally. All right. Boston side of things, Marcus Smart listed questionable. He did leave the game briefly in game one with this chest contusion injury, did come back, still played like 35 minutes or so. I would, because he was able to come back in. I don't know. Maybe he was sore or bruised the next day. Any thoughts on Smart?
No, he's playing. I don't know how much to say. He got roasted though. It was a pretty bad defensive game. He got the Harden assignment and didn't fare very well on it. I'm curious to see if that coverage changes. Surprised he got as many minutes as he did with Brogdon playing well, not playing very well on the defensive end. So then we've got the Embiid factor, right? I think that if I talked about this just a little bit ago. If you're the Celtics and you hear this dude just started running yesterday, your whole game plan is like, oh my God, let's play fast, right? So I think they lean into small ball stuff out of the gate. It's not like the Sixers are too big outside of Embiid, so they can still help. And obviously Jalen and Jason are pretty big dudes. So, you're still getting ability to help with size with Horford's post defense, which has been pretty good prior to this year. Embiid's actually killed the Celtics this year, 37 per game, including the 52-point game that basically iced him the MVP trophy late in April. So I think Derek White starts. I think the floors are a little bit more at risk for White, Smart, and Brogdon. And then, Time Lord maybe gets up to mid-20s just to give him a little bit more size and rim protection with Embiid back, assuming he's, playing 30-ish minutes.
Yeah, White, tough game for White there. Ended up being the low man on the totem pole from a minutes perspective, but just didn't have it going at all. You see the minus 15 in the box score. Ended up being a Brogdon night. Always hard to predict for sure. And we'll talk a little bit more about it on the DFS show. I'm starting to try to change the way I think about those three guys from a DFS perspective, but we'll talk about that behind the paywall, 5 o'clock. Little tease for you. Anyway, anything else in this game that you're looking for tonight?
I'm looking to see if Grant Williams and Hauser just almost go away and just play 7. This is the biggest game of the year. We saw 44 minutes out of Tatum, 42 out of Brown. I think they're going to play a ton. You absolutely have to get this game. You can't go back to Philly 0-2. So, I think we're going to see really tight minutes. We'll see if Horford can avoid foul trouble. They're going to probably leave him open. So, wide range of outcomes on Horford. Great way to play it in DFS. We'll talk more about that later for sure.
Yeah, a lot of similarities between the Celtics tonight and the Knicks last night, where they already lost game 1 at home. The other team's best player, iffy. Very interesting parallels. But yeah, Boston needs to go out there and win for sure. All right, mentioned we'll talk a little bit about tomorrow's game, which, 2 one-day slates for Wednesday and Thursday. So, some DraftKings is doing a 2-day slate. It's not their main, the showdown GPP is still way higher, total prize pool way higher up top, but they're legitimate GPPs. I think 20K to first on the 2-day slate. So we want to make sure we have projections for it. So if you're a subscriber, we will have that. And then on the live show at 5 o'clock, we are also going to be talking about both the showdown and the 2-day slate. And also when I write top plays, I'm going to try to cover both. I'll probably do a separate section on the 2-day slate. But all that's to say, we're not expecting too much injury stuff for tomorrow. So we'd rather just, cancel the injury show for tomorrow with the one game. Doesn't make sense to necessarily do it anyway. And then, we'll just talk a little bit about tomorrow's game right now. Obviously, last night totally lived up to expectations for what we expected out of this series. Game one was an absolute blast. And, we talked about it on the DFS show. Like, Anthony Davis, the matchup was not good, but these are Anthony Davis and LeBron James we're talking about. Like, the ceilings are always going to be there. And man, AD crushed. Any injuries that you're looking out for, or just any general adjustments, minute stuff that surprised you?
No, I didn't see anything happen. We saw AD grab his hip for a hot minute, but that was, I think, in the second quarter. And obviously, he looked fine, although quieted down in the second half. 23 in the first half. We saw him not be as aggressive in the second half with 7 points. But yeah, the defensive impact was ridiculous. The Warriors couldn't score around the basket. They couldn't score in transition. The Lakers out transition scored them. LeBron had a pretty quiet game. He had almost half his points in transition. His half court offense was really bad, 0.6 points per possession there. So he's got to play better. And we kind of thought this was the case that it was more of an AD matchup. I put AD in everywhere. I feel pretty good about this being an AD series. The one thing I got wrong, and I got it wrong really bad, was Jared Vanderbilt's impact. Vanderbilt was really, really good on Stephen Curry with the way he was chasing him down with his length. That was really the game to me. On top of the Warriors sucking in transition, not being able to score in the paint. Obviously, the foul discrepancy everyone's going to talk about. But I thought Jared Vanderbilt's impact was huge. We got the Schroeder stuff right, 31 minutes without even really foul trouble boosting him, which I expect that to happen. And Darvin Ham, this is probably from an injury standpoint, the headline, he said, hey, let the big dogs eat. This is why we load manage them. We see 44 minutes of AD, didn't sub out in the second half. Tons of energy. You could see him kind of on his hips, catching his breath a little bit, definitely a little bit tired, but they were off for a little bit. Now you've only got one day. How are you going to react? These dudes are old. We've seen them have injuries. Are they going to be able to play with the level that they played at for that amount of time? Whole lot of questions to be answered. But as far as what we know now, and we're not going to know much, I imagine we'll see the probable tags for AD, LeBron, and Schroeder for foot Achilles. And then, Patrick Baldwin Jr. questionable, who's not going to play. Warriors rotation stuff. Jermichael Green getting some size and spacing. Steve Kerr said he wanted a little bit more size. I thought it was Mika Kuminga. I got that part wrong. But I really think we see more Kuminga. I don't really see the point of Moses Moody. He looks slow. He looked like his ability to recover isn't as important here. This isn't like a ball movement team like the way the Kings like to run their offense. So I think this is a Kuminga spot. Tough to really bet into it. Yeah. But should be a little bit of a tighter rotation. We saw them not play Steph big minutes, not play Clay big minutes. Looney was a beast on the glass as usual. But should see the main rotation guys be somewhat same. You could make a case that maybe the double big lineup had some issues, and Looney was not. Charles Barkley talked about this ad nauseum. He said like heavy-footed Looney, or slow-footed Looney, like 30 times last night. But I think that I think they may not want to go double big as much and just lean into more spacing because the paint's just not there.
And they didn't close that way, right? I mean, they closed small, and in turn, you mentioned the Schroeder thing. Lakers went a lot of 3-guard when they didn't have Looney on the floor, and Vanderbilt minutes got cut down in that sense as well. So you not only did we hit the Schroeder thing right, but it wasn't really at cost of Russell or Reeves. It was more at cost of Vanderbilt and Rui. And so I mean, I'd expect to see Ham to continue to do that matchup wise when they go small, go with the 3-guard lineup. Clearly, it worked last night. So I mean, it'll be interesting to see how Kerr adjusts. I would we were speculating heavy, and it was more for MME talk on the 5 o'clock show yesterday about Kuminga. Didn't get in. I think those Jermichael Green minutes, some of those Moody minutes should definitely go there. But we'll see how it plays out tomorrow. George asked about Marcus Smart if he was out. We should have covered that. I mean, we're expecting him to play. So as a questionable tag, if he misses, you expect Brogdon to enter the starting lineup, or how would you expect that to happen? They like him off the bench, right?
No, I think they're good. I think they're just good Time Lord.
Yeah.
I think you just go that way, and it's pretty clean. You have basically Time Lord cover Tucker and roam around and stuff. That would really constrict the Sixers offense. So you give up a lot of ability to run the floor. But hey, Jaylen Brown, throw the ball ahead of him. Marcus Smart, whoever, throw the ball. Tatum, throw the ball ahead. There's ways you can establish transition presence without playing bigger. So I'm sorry, with playing bigger. So I would expect Time Lord to start if Smart can't go.
Makes sense to me. And obviously Brogdon and White would get boosted in that instance. All right. Anything else for tonight, for tomorrow, injury wise, rotation wise? Anything you want to cover?
No, yeah, it's exciting. What a thrilling game last night. I think we'll
So
have a
much fun.
good game tonight. Definitely
The
a little
Knicks
bit
game too,
thrilling.
man. Knicks game was a
Yeah,
blast
really good
also.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun. Really nice fourth. The Miami fourth quarters. They finally got bit. They've been such a good fourth quarter team.
Yeah.
Especially in the last round, they killed the Bucks in the fourth quarter, especially the last 4 games.
There's
But
no doubt that Scott Foster helped us out a little bit, but hey, I'll take it.
yeah,
But
the
regardless,
extender.
the extender wanted to extend, and we'll take it. But yeah, Knicks down the stretch, 2 huge Josh Hart threes. I mentioned the game was fun. It was not fun for me. I'm sitting there with my heart pounding on the edge of my seat, but it was fun in general for an NBA. That series, man, is like old school battle physical. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Glad that they have some time to rest up before Saturday. So I mentioned, behind the paywall, 5:00. If you haven't joined us yet, we will be going all the way through the finals with showdown, 2-day slates, whatever DraftKings or FanDuel throws at us. We'll have projections and content ready for all of you. Do encourage you to go check out your discounted options for playoffs to get involved with everything we got going on at ETR NBA. We're going to continue to crush it over there. I mentioned we'll be covering both the showdown and the 2-day slate for tonight. Join us at 5:00 Eastern, Mike and myself behind the paywall. If you will not be joining us behind the paywall, please do at least support us with your hard-earned clicks here on the Established Run NBA YouTube page. We'd really appreciate it. Give us a thumbs up, give us subscribe, get notifications whenever we go live. Tell your friends, and we really appreciate it. Please help feed that algorithm so we can feed our families. Nom, 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 nom. And of course, don't forget to support the people who support us.
Before I get to that, I should add I'm already got matchups for tomorrow too. So
Nice.
it should be done. I did the Lakers stuff. I did the environment stuff. So I should have that out in 45-ish minutes, and then Jackson will edit it. Should be up well before the show for you guys if you're doing the 2-game slate. Almost done. But yeah, as you said, support the people support us. This show is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Best Ball Mania 4 is cracking. It's probably going to fill earlier than they think based on what I've seen on Twitter. Get in there, have some fun, get some edge before the line moves. We've got projections as well. You can use our projections to play. You can also use ETR projections for the fantasy pick'em game at Underdog. You can use promo code ETR, get a $100 deposit match at underdogfantasy.com. That's promo code ETR at underdogfantasy.com.
Yep. It would be crazy if they felt like there's some risk releasing this thing like the last day of April, when we're still like 2 weeks out before the schedules. But I think it'll go. I think it'll slow down and extend. I mean, we're like 3.5% fill, but it's a huge tournament. I think they thought it would take us for sure through close to the opening weekend, and I think it will. I do think, but it'll see. I mean, people are very excited about best ball, and for good reason. Underdog is by far the best in the business at it. I love drafting on Underdog, so definitely go check it out. Again, we'll be back behind the paywall at 5:00 Eastern. If not, we will see you on Friday for an injury show, back to normal for Friday, which we have 2 games for sure. Well, Game 3 Boston Philly and Game 3 Denver Phoenix. Good luck tonight in all of your games, and we will see you at 5:00 or on Friday. Take care, everybody.